a whiskey before we start?
No thanks, I'll just stick with water for the time being.
I mean, I've got my water, but we may have to move on to it at some point.
Well, you can, because this is basically going to be a podcast where we sort of rant about politics. It's going to be a rant. You can't ever have a discussion about politics no matter what it says on a YouTube video or on the news or anything. It's always a rant from one side against a rant from the other.
Exactly, we're talking like this right now, but by the end of this, we'll turn the freaking frogs gay! It's going to be like some Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro stuff.
Yeah.
Except a lot more left wing.
Anyway, so basically, this is the much delayed second part of the second podcast, but I could just change this to say podcast 3 and not put 1 out of 2, but I did technically put part 2 coming soon at the end of the last podcast.
You really did.
But I can actually change the date that this was technically uploaded, so it looks like it was uploaded much earlier.
Yeah, true.
Or if not, I'll just be happy to have it on there. So yeah, what we're going to do for this one is basically, as you can probably guess from what we just said, is talk about politics, not only in the US election that's just gone by.
Just everything really.
And in lockdown and everything.
There's been a fucking lot.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. The last podcast we did was, I think, summarising what we did in lockdown.
On the assumption that we're on the way out. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that it was a part of our life that was over. I wasn't, I was happy to be out of it socially, but I thought at the time that he might have been taking us out a bit too early. And then Rishi Sunak comes out of nowhere with your bloody eat out to help out scheme, and now we're back in lockdown. Fucking hell! I actually cannot believe it.
Do you know what infuriates me the most about this whole scenario?
Go on.
I have been gloating this entire year that my birthday is not during lockdown because it's in December. But at this rate, if they do extend it, as it is currently, it won't be in it. But if they choose to extend it to Christmas, then I'm fucked as well.
Well, I mean, it's not fucked. I had my birthday in lockdown. It's not that.
Yeah, but it's the 21st.
21st of what? December? Yeah.
No, 25th.
Oh, yeah, but that's only a big thing in America, mate. Don't worry about it. It's pretty.
Still, I feel like we could do something, and I'd like to be able to do something with other people and everything. But right now, it may not look like that.
But we've basically just been fucked by this fat blonde cunt. He has nice hair though. In fact, we actually did got a question in here. This is from Yusuf from Bradford. Oh no, sorry. This is from Charlie. This is from Charlie from Essex. Sorry. What kind of shampoo does Boris use?
Ooh, what kind of shampoo does he use? Well, despite how it looks and everything, it looks like it hasn't got dandruff, so he probably uses the same.
I think it's head and shoulders. It looks very soft as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks shit and thin, but it's very soft, I bet.
Yeah.
Credit to Boris. Very terrible Prime Minister. Very good judge of shampoo.
Yeah. And on the other head of state, at least he has that going for him, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Putin ain't got the best trim.
Yeah, but we don't.
Biden does not have a good trim, but he's beaten Trump, hasn't he?
Yes. This has been a very interesting election, to say the very least.
I don't know. I did not back him. Well, I didn't.
What, Biden? You didn't back Biden?
No, I did not think he was.
Yeah, well, because as you've told me before, based off basically, how it is and everything, it's very hard for a president who's already in office to lose if they run for a second consecutive term.
Basically, if you're an incumbent president, it's basically guaranteed. Obama had 2, Bush had 2, Clinton had 2. Bush before that only had 1, but before that Reagan had 2. 4 out of the last 5 have done 2. So to fuck up, you have to fuck up so badly to lose your second election. And Trump managed to do it to a dude who, for most people, can identify he might be a little bit
sus.
Senile, I was going to say. He does seem a little bit forgetful, but he's managed to beat Trump, and I mean, I think everyone can see why. It's like, how would you like to die?
It basically is that,
more or less.
But yeah, as we were talking about with our other friend who's not really mentioned this, Ollie, when we talk about, because I feel like politics, US politics specifically, is the only thing we can really talk to him about for a long duration of time. I don't think we've talked to him about enough things to actually go beyond that.
Ollie loves following politics, and I think American politics is
doing it for a dissertation.
That's true, yeah.
So that's another reason why he's going to be enjoying
Yeah.
it. So we talked about it. Like, when's the last time something this? Well, it was quite close for a while. Even when even as the bats took a long time to come in.
But Trump tried to halt democracy by tweeting,
Yeah.
"Stop the count."
So not since Bush in 2000, and before that probably
In Florida, yeah.
Probably, yeah, as I said,
Hayes,
yeah, 76.
Rutherford B. Hayes won by 1 electoral vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looked like that after a while with how this was going.
But he's pulled it out of the bag. I don't actually know what the other states went for in the end, like Georgia and that. I didn't actually check.
No, it looked like North Carolina and Pennsylvania will obviously move towards Biden towards the end. But by that point, Nevada had already been counted, so it was irrelevant. It was a win. It was a dub.
I'm actually pulling it up now, and I don't know how up to date this is. This is on the Guardian right now. I've just checked. Oh, this was an hour ago. North Carolina, Georgia, still not confirmed. However, Nevada is Democrat because that got announced like afterwards.
Yeah,
so Biden is ahead by 76 now. So it's yeah.
Was Pennsylvania confirmed?
Yeah, Pennsylvania was the one that won it.
No, it was Nevada.
Oh, was it Nevada?
Nevada was the one that gave you 6 electoral college
No.
votes.
Nevada, they weren't able to count it. They were taking ages to count it. So then it was Pennsylvania that actually decided it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Biden won Pennsylvania, and then about 5 minutes later, Nevada were like, "Oh yeah, we're done."
One of the curious things I did while in this process of actually waiting for it to be counted is I looked at like specific counties what they vote for, and in most places it's literally urban areas and only the major like city areas which you actually look down vote for Democrats, and then most areas which doesn't have like a city that you can see on it. It's just like countryside. It's Republican.
Yeah, I looked
and
at
even
Florida
in
and
states.
Nevada, and you look at like Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Tallahassee, all those areas voted Democrat, but everywhere else in Florida voted Republican. And I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's about education levels. Education levels are higher in the city, so I mean, I'm not saying Republicans are stupid. I'm saying all Americans are stupid. I'm just saying that I feel like academics do tend to swing more left wing.
Yeah.
As a general statement, without trying to offend anyone.
Yeah, because the right wing, in terms of its ideologies, really benefits those with a higher income base. So intellectuals and the youth and support the Democrats and the left. Of course, the Republicans are for more entrepreneurs, if you can guess what I'm saying.
Entrepreneur, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of the... Am I wrong, or does it feel like politics the last 10 years have swung very violently right? Or am I
in those places, but in the US, I think it's the opposite. I think it's swung more to the left. Or in the case of the media, it swung I guess I say it's swung more to the fringes. If you're going to say like a lot more right wing than left wing.
Oh, it's become
media.
more polarized.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
I mean, that's a shout, but if you look at this time 10 years ago, Barack Obama was in his second year as president. He was just chilling. We didn't have to worry about Ben Shapiro or Alex Jones or any of that. It was
true.
It all got
they often sprung up because of the growth in like SJWs and those kind of movements.
But I feel like certainly in the last 5 years, more specifically, there's been a reactionary pullback, and it's interesting because if you look at politics and you look at the political compass spectrum, whatever you want to call it, I'd argue that historically the Western world has slowly been on a march left forever, since feudalism. But every now and then...
In the same way that's sort of like what Marxist theory is.
That it's a natural
progression. We go from feudalism, capitalism, socialism, communism. So we're naturally moving into that state. So that's sort of what he was predicting.
And I think I see it.
Yeah.
But every time there's too sudden of a move to the left, all the people that have fallen behind that progression suddenly go, whoa, I'm not comfortable with this, and they want things. They suddenly want things to go back, and that's why there was a similar thing happened in the 80s when we had Reagan and
yeah, we go from having a US president like Jimmy Carter,
the greatest of all time.
Yeah, who's actually using diplomacy in a very peaceful way, especially with, to the situation with Iran in 1980.
To Reagan.
Yeah, to Reagan, who's
Oof.
yeah. We're not going to get into that.
Evangelicalists and stuff, all
Yeah.
of that stuff. But going back to home real quick.
Yeah, let's go back to our home one. We don't want to offend too many people.
I mean, without, I naturally wouldn't want to come onto your channel and do a vicious rant, but what the fuck is Boris Johnson doing?
I don't know.
I
Curious thing, we actually, not long before we actually started recording this, we Finn was catching up with the True Geordie podcast about the actual...
Not as good as this one.
About the announcement of a second lockdown. And it was very funny because Brian said the exact same thing Finn said when we realised that...
Yeah, me and True Geordie had the exact same response to the second lockdown, and I couldn't have been prouder. What was it then?
It was about the gyms, because recently, the reason why this is quite late is because around the same time we finished recording that, we started getting into uni work, and most importantly, we started getting into fitness. Like, this is probably the most productive in terms of fitness I've ever done, despite in years.
For me, it's the most for years and years.
This is probably in terms of like how intense it's getting,
Yeah,
how often we're doing it.
3 to 4 days a week at times for the last 2 months.
Yeah. So since like we started at the beginning of September, so by this point we're in a state where we're happy where we're going. We're also being careful with what we eat. Well, nowadays I'm taking supplements, same as you think. We're trying to be much better with our health and everything, and also with our mental health and everything. So I feel like we're in a very good place. But then of course
we're making that progression, and then suddenly, yes, of course, I still believe that the regional lockdowns are the best method, but I'm going to not do that now. Like he's. It was like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it was PMQs. Do you watch PMQs much at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Keir Starmer was criticising him for the regional.
He said he wants to plunge us into another damaging lockdown.
Yeah, damning, I think it was, or something like that.
Or damaging
Either
lockdown.
way, he wants to plunge us into a nationwide lockdown, and it was because Keir Starmer was criticising the regional lockdowns because it seemed to be the case that the tier system, depending on how left-wing the area was. The higher percentage of people that voted Labour last time, the more they were getting oppressed by the system. It was very interesting. But the thing is, I actually agree with him that we should do a lockdown. But he also shouldn't have taken us out of it in the fucking first place. Like, fair play, Boris Johnson, you've done the thing you were supposed to do months ago. Like, everything that he does late.
Yeah.
Even the announcement, I was sat in this very room waiting for the announcement. I think it was delayed by 90 minutes in the end. Like, he just does everything too late. He takes too long.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, of course, we'd be here forever. We have to discuss everything that's wrong with the Tory government here in the UK. But if we had to put our finger on one word that really describes it, it's inconsistency.
Yeah.
With what their policy is for fucking anything.
I think it's the case with Labour as well. I don't think this is a Tory exclusive thing. I think it just shows more up in the Tory party because they're the ones that are in.
Yeah.
But both these main parties, they don't actually have direction. They don't know what it is they want. The whole Conservative idea the last 10 years was about austerity to save the economy, which wasn't working before coronavirus. So I don't know how fucked we're going to be now.
Oh yeah.
Still, I think.
Remember we were worried how much Brexit would affect the economy? Ha ha!
Yeah, nothing. No matter how much we get fucked over by our own decision to leave the EU, now it's going to get double fucked by coronavirus.
You say we weren't old enough to vote.
Yeah, true.
Imagine what we were. We were old enough to understand what was happening and to understand politics, but we were too young to vote.
Well, I mean, the Brexit vote was my 16th birthday. So
yeah, 16 years old.
Happy birthday, Finn. Your future's gone. I mean, it really does make you lose a lot of faith.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's almost inspiring.
It's why we've been spending this year doing everything focusing but politics, like focusing on our own mental health, focusing on our physical health, and on our uni work and social life.
If anything, this is like a detox. We're getting all of the rage out, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But when you know when you like say as a kid or whatever, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be the next prime minister or something like that.
Aye.
And your parents like, haha, oh, if this cunt's getting in,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Let's have it. It's like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting the Man United job. How has he managed that? How has he managed that? Like, how is he in this?
You
this
are
job?
asking the wrong person for this.
No, but it's parallels, isn't it? You've got someone who's not qualified to do the job, who is historically known for being a fucking idiot and doing things wrong, and notoriously known for being literally a clown. He used to go around on a bloody zip line with Union flags. You know that image, rugby tackling children and stuff like that. He was never Prime Minister quality. But then because everyone who was in front of him in the pecking order either had a scandal and got kicked out or stepped down themselves for serving the country I love, in Theresa May's case, he's just ended up at the front. He's like, oh yes, of course, I will lead the country to get Brexit done.
Yeah, everyone wants to reap the benefits of being in the House of Parliament, but no one wants the actual job itself.
No one wants the responsibility.
Yeah, no one wants to go through with it.
So it's a weird thought, right? Like, you could laugh at this, but I genuinely reckon I could maybe do a better job than Boris Johnson.
Oh yeah.
And I don't mean that as a big up to myself. I think you could. I think the people in the flat below that were blasting pornography at 3 a.m. last night, they could probably do a better job.
That's not even a joke. Like, I actually put my ear to the floor and I heard like, well, either it was loud pornography or there was some, it sounded like very satisfying sex.
Yes, it was
like
pornography or sex that was very consistent with pornography.
It was still on at 6 a.m. by the way. When I went to the toilet, I heard it. And I put my ear to the floor again. I was like, oh, so it's still going. It's still going.
See, that makes me think that it might have not been pornography, because who watches pornography loudly 3 hours apart? Don't answer that question.
I've got the idea that he's just had like post-nut depression, and to get himself out of it, he goes again. But this time, he masturbates something he doesn't feel guilty about.
So he just sits in his room for 3 hours, just feeling all sunny. He's like, right, I'll wank, I think.
Pretty much.
Well, like I said, this whole thing, I think there's no better proof of what I mean when I say anyone could do a better job than him than Marcus Rashford. Like,
a young Man United player.
22, by the way.
22.
2 years older than us. Has done more for the people of this country than the Conservative Party have done in 10 years. It is a truly outstanding. It is. I'm not even trying to bring him up because he's a Man United player. I think you, as a Leeds fan, you've said before the only thing about Man United that you can appreciate is Fergie. But I think now Rashford surely joins
of course, I can appreciate
Dr. Marcus Rashford MBE. They've slapped so many titles on him because that's what they try and do. They try and like give him a title as if to say, oh, you've done you made it.
You've done enough.
And I think in the tweet where he got it, he's like, I'm thankful for this, but this does nothing to help the young people of this country. Like he keeps working. He just keeps working. And you honestly can't not like him now.
Mm.
Like when I see him score at the moment, when I watch it, it's not just that's a Man United player scoring. It's like that man is a hero. If you know, that's more important now. When I look at it as a person of England,
and it makes up for the fact that Man United have not exactly had the best run this season.
Hey, we're doing better.
This season for the Premier League, let's just say, it's been
very
exciting.
Here's the thing, like politics in America, it's polarizing. So we've had the best away record since 1993.
Man.
We've had the worst home record since 1978. So it's been very polarizing.
Oh, God.
But it happens. It happens. But, oh, my God. What do you think about Keir Starmer? As an opposition to Boris Johnson? Because for me, it's like when you look at Trump and Biden, you just think, you're fucked either way, aren't you?
It's like you've gone to the ballot box and went, oh, thank you for giving me an option on how to die. Do you want to drown or do you want to go by hanging? It's literally like people on death row got given a selection. Do you want to take a spot? Which you want to go? We've got firing squad, we've got lethal injection, we've got by hanging. It's whatever you want, okay? But please, can you choose one by the end of today?
Because otherwise someone else is going to choose for you. And make sure, and there's going to be a little box at the bottom that says, I choose not to die. But if other people disagree, that you just throwing your vote away, throwing your vote away. But that's what I think the problem is. I think the big parties are allowed to be cunts because everyone votes for them. Because
there's no opposition to them.
But this is the funny thing about the mentality of a two-party system. A two-party system only comes about because people let it. And what happens now is if you vote for any party that's not Labour or the Tories, basically people say, you're throwing your vote away. No, other people are throwing their votes away. If you vote for a party just because you think they have a chance of getting in, you're just sort of tactically voting. Like, it would be a better reflection of our political outlook on life if everyone just voted for the party that they thought would do the best job. And for me, that has
during the election it was Lib Dems.
It's fluctuated a lot, but at that point, Lib Dem out of the major ones, I was like, yeah, I like what they're going for. They seem to want to stop Brexit, so sure, let's do it. But now I actually have moved on to a new political party. I've actually become a member, and I'm actually ready to start engaging in it. You know what that one is, Ben?
Yes, I do. Do you want to say it on here?
Sure, I'll go for it. You can drop it.
The lovely local Yorkshire Party.
The Yorkshire Party.
Which sounds like it's just like, if voting for anyone who isn't Labour or Conservative is throwing the vote away, this sounds like you're just being an idiot. And
it sounds like you're wiping your ass with it.
For the local old white men who sit around in the cafe.
It does sound like that, and I feel like the fact that it's called the Yorkshire Party, says that. But when you actually look in, when you hear the name, it makes it feel like it's going to be like a big UKIP sort of job, where it's all very right and it's very anti-immigration stuff. When you look at the policy,
it's just geographical. That's why it's named the Yorkshire Party.
Yeah, it's very left. Well, not very left, but it's reasonably left wing.
Yeah.
They want decentralisation of government.
Okay.
So they want more control over local politics and local business and stuff like that. Which makes sense. It makes sense to be able to do that and work on a more local basis.
Yeah, if you're getting less of a percentage back from in terms of government spending towards stuff like infrastructure, then you give in.
That is why I.
And of course, that much benefits you.
Because there was that statistic, wasn't there, where it was just under 9% of the income of the UK comes from Yorkshire, but it's less than 3% comes back to Yorkshire. That's nearly a third. That's just over a third, I think. And that's it's just under a quarter, isn't it? Or just over a quarter. Either way,
it's a good.
That is a lot of money lost every year from Yorkshire. And I'm not even from Yorkshire. I'm from Derbyshire, and I've said many times how I don't like Yorkshire or certain elements of Yorkshire. But just out of fairness, you look at it and you think, well, Yorkshire Party run in my local constituency, and I think they could do a good job. So that's what I'm going to go for. And I don't want to go down on the rabbit hole too much with the Yorkshire Party because I could rant about that for ages. I could look at I could look at more local control over NHS. I could look at improved transport and stuff like that, because I don't know if you've ever done much public transport in Yorkshire, specifically North Yorkshire, but it is terrible. It is very bad.
Not particularly. The only time I've ever gone through the areas when I'm taking the train to and from Edinburgh. So I've sort of followed from York to Darlington. So I'm not sticking to the coast until I get up to the border.
Yeah, it is atrocious though. But not going too far into that. My point is, you should go for the party that you like the most. That's going to do the best job. Because at the end of the day, the second you decide to throw your vote away, the second you decide that not voting for one of the big parties is throwing your vote away, that's when it becomes throwing your vote away. Because that's the attitude that everyone else will end up having. So then the people that do vote for the thing have essentially thrown their votes away because everyone else isn't doing it. It's like a herd mentality. And not to call people sheep, but it does feel like people will just tactically vote for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And the outcome of that is you end up with two parties that no one really likes. You know, I know a lot of people that like Jeremy Corbyn when he was about, and honestly, I don't blame them. He's got some, as much as I don't really support him, he had some very good policies, and he was extremely charismatic. But even then, extremely controversial and all that. There is no one in this country that people can get behind. I don't see anyone winning a landslide. I mean, Boris broke the North Wall, but I think that was just because of how much people didn't like Corbyn. It wasn't about how much people like Boris. And no one's going to like Boris now.
That's basically how you win politics. It's not how popular you are, it's how much people
hate you as a person.
Hate you as a person.
That's what it's been for the last 5 years now?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, hate has infected politics.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know.
Not that it was, hateless to begin with, but...
True, but it's got worse. Or at the very least, it's got more public. I can't remember who it was that said this. It was someone in America said, like, black oppression by cops and stuff like that. These sorts of events like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, events like this, they're not happening more frequently. They're just getting exposure now.
Yeah.
There's more transparency. And it's a problem that's been about for a long time, but it's getting more transparency like that. And I really think it needs sorting, because when politics is more about who's shitter, then it's just going to be a contest of just, well, whichever way you vote, there'll be someone shit.
It sort of encourages you, not just politics, but it encourages you to think more about the negative aspects of life rather than the more positive one.
It's not about mental health.
Yeah, it's like, who of these people here do I hate the least to vote? Not who do I like the most, who do I hate the least? Which of these foods do I hate the least?
So if you come away from this with anything, it's my advice is just don't just automatically go to the big two parties. Have a look at all of the ones that are running where you live in your constituency that you can vote for. Have a look, see what they offer, see what you like. You can vote personally, what's going to help you specifically. That's a smart thing to do. You can look at ones that will give you, like, your bank, like, branch interest rate increases and stuff like that. Or you can look at stuff that's going to affect the country on the whole more, if you know what I mean. That, stuff like immigration laws and stuff like that. Stuff that won't specifically impact you, but you feel like could make a difference. Just vote honestly. And I think politics could be saved in this country. I truly do. But I do worry, because when you look at the political climate of the world at the moment, do you know what I'd compare it to?
I'd say the world in the 20s.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
There are a lot of comparisons to draw.
What you have is like, you have a world that's coming out of a situation which is changed how we live, it's changed how we approach things, how we do things. Like, it's not the same as it was with the First World War. It's a different scenario, but it's the same sort of like, we've been taken out of our comfy lives and placed in a troubled situation. And now people are unsure of where to go from here, do they go back to where they were before, or do they, since they've now been pushed to move, do they go about changing things for the better? And you've got people on each side of the spectrum offering their views on what they think would definitely work and trying to convince you on that, and it's becoming this battleground between them.
The polarisation, this stuff isn't working, let's try something new, something radical. It's so comparable. And when you look at...
That's what makes you worried most, because people may doubt saying we're not doing a proper course at uni because we're doing history, but from history we learned that we know where this is going to go. If hate's built up on each side of the spectrum and it's pushing in to crush the people who are like undecided in the centre, eventually it's going to come to a point where they become a majority, and it comes to blows and all that, and like being neutral, just being not entirely left, not entirely right, is just becoming...
Well, here's how I look at it. History is like you walking through a field and there's suddenly fog in front of you. You can't see what's in front of you. But if you turn around, the fog isn't there, and you don't know for certain what's in front of you still. But when you look back, you can see the footprints in the mud. You can see where you've come from. You can see what the landscape is around you. You can see what might be developing. Suddenly there might be an increase of rocks on the ground. So you can't predict the future.
No.
But you can probably estimate it by looking backwards. That's
what
I'd say. How do you judge trajectory of something? What has its trajectory been so far?
Yeah.
You know, once you judge the trajectory of something that's mid-flight of what it's been through, you can usually tell what it's going to continue on.
Mm-hmm.
That is the same with, you know, the world. That is how history works.
And we use that to predict what's the sort of future for human society in terms of culture, in terms of politics, in terms of possibly the economy as well. It's just this, and that's why we're just very hesitant. We're at the point where we know where things could possibly lead to.
Yeah, we're not saying World War III because I don't think there'll ever be another World War. Personally, just because of nukes and stuff like that.
Yeah, not because of nukes, because all our economies are so tied together that any disruption from war would just be disastrous.
But I can see more hatred.
Oh,
I can see more totalitarianism, or maybe not totalitarianism. But I can see more authoritarianism.
Yeah.
Because there's all that thing about what's more important, safety or freedom. You know, there's always
that's always the crux of the issue.
So you know, we're seeing a return to terror attacks in Europe at the moment. I think it's in response to what Emmanuel Macron said, wasn't it? We've suddenly started having attacks in Lyon, in Vienna, and
our level in Britain has been moved from substantial to severe.
Yeah, which is a little bit worrying. You know, it's always upsetting when innocent people are dying because of what is out of their control.
Innocent people are dying because of what a Frenchman said.
For God's sake. I've got a few more questions that have come in, by the way.
Are they politically related?
They do seem to be, yes.
Is the one about...
So we've got about 5 or 6. They're from Declan from Birmingham.
Lovely.
So we've got, first of all, we've got why the fuck have uni students been shagged so hard? Which, yeah.
Shit. My maintenance loan still hasn't come through.
Oh yeah.
So that's funny, because this time last year we had issues with the flat as well, so we're still sort of living in hotels. But actually, it's at this point that we stopped living in hotels. We actually
this time a year ago was when we finally got.
Yeah, so it hasn't been calm for me this year either.
So basically, we're meant to get our first loan at like September, and Ben still hasn't had his.
And it's the middle of November.
So he's basically having to live off the rent money that I give him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is, not great. But if you look across the country, they've been like telling people to go into uni, locking them in and saying, no, you can't go home now.
It's just,
it's that isolating it. Like, it's so strange.
It's strange. Another thing which we didn't mention when we were talking about gyms closing is that, takeaways.
Yes, that is it. I
mentioned that just because as uni students,
been so mad about lockdown happening, but they've locked down gyms, which when you live in a city are pretty essential for high intensity exercise and staying in shape.
Yeah, I cannot.
I know Boris wouldn't know about staying in shape. The man's been fat since he was 6, but still.
I kid you not, like as a substitute, in order to get to a green area where we can actually do something.
We had to drive across the entire city. And even when we got there, it was full. We're in lockdown, and the park was full of people not social distancing and like massive trips, like there for leisure and stuff like that. We ended up being there just to like sprint around and stuff like that.
Yeah, a bit of a kick around.
Yeah, but most people were just there to fucking feed the ducks and shit. Which I rate it. It's good for mental health, but it's not essential. Not really.
Anyway, let's get back on to what we were saying about unis, because I just wanted to point out.
Little tangent.
So, what Declan for Birmingham said, we say these like they're random people, they're not, we know all of them. So, what he said about, unis getting shanked and everything. Like, I haven't had to need to go into the library yet, because all the books I have is from online and everything. And another thing we're going to enjoy is doing dissertations this year, because we still do a dissertation.
Yeah. I truly believe, based on how kind the uni have been to me so far with the problems I've had, that I truly believe that they will give every single student this year some sort of compensation.
Yeah, I like that about our uni. Our uni has been like very good at blessing us. Like, it's not shanked us over too bad.
I don't think they'll drop. I think they've already decided on it, but I think they won't drop it on us now because they want people to actually do their best.
Yeah.
And they'll say, because everyone's had these problems, hopefully that'll be the case. That's what I'm hoping for. Next question. Should loans be refunded / reduced? Fuck yes.
Oh yes. We're still paying the
9
grand.
points. It's 9.2. It's
Five?
more. It's more for us, I think, on the history course. It's slightly more. Either
It's,
way,
it's between.
it's
nine.
nearly, not far off 10 fucking grand a year, and I ran the fucking maths to figure it out, but someone else can hear. Before this lockdown even happened, in a week we would have 2 hours in a Microsoft Teams call and 90 minutes in the actual uni.
Like,
Now
I
that's
understand
gone.
what we did in terms of like before lockdown was already like quite short as it is. We usually have between 9.5, 10.5 hour weeks. But
Well,
we're
that's
still
still a
paying.
big reduction.
We're still paying the amount of, and they're not even the tuition fees not only go to paying lecturers, maybe they go to make sure the facilities. But the facilities aren't being used.
Yes, the uni gyms, the swimming pools, the student union, all of these facilities which are not being used. So where is that money going? What's that money that they need for the upkeep of the uni? Upkeep that they're not doing this year. What's that money for?
Now maybe we're just a bit ignorant of it, but from what we know in terms of like what the uni needs the money for, it doesn't add up.
Yeah,
the numbers don't add
I'm
up.
not trying to hate on the uni. I don't want it to sound like I'm whinging.
Well, we're not
because-
we're not at least hating on
Yeah.
our lecturers. We know they're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
stick.
I'm not. Well, also, I'm not trying to hate on the uni because I don't know for certain on this, and I'm not trying to like come out like I'm whinging because it's affecting me directly. It's the loans aren't really real anyway unless you become successful. It's more it's more the principle of it, and I know that there are people that are worrying
That's
like
such
hell
a
about
thing,
uni
like-
loans.
Another thing is better about the UK than America. We don't get to pay out. We have to pay out under a certain period, and then if we get money, and if like we haven't paid off in like 20 years, it just sort of disappears.
But still, when you look at it, I don't see economically how the price of uni this year can stay the same. I don't see how the course can stay at the same cost. It does not make sense to me whatsoever. Because if that is the case, then what was the point in having all these facilities? What was the price of all these facilities? It is insane. And
I'm actually gonna, as I've said, it's been, but also not said anywhere else. I'm definitely gonna have the next year because this is our final year for this course. But after that, the next year I'm gonna take the year off, mainly because like I want to give time for the job markets to recover completely before then, and I have no idea what I want to do. So obviously, I'm just gonna peace out. Really, that's all I'm gonna say.
I actually might join you on that because my brain is fried from doing all this history.
During that year, we can go back to Rome. We can write Ollie in Scotland.
Yeah. Get the gang together. No. We need to get all the originals. Like Sybil, Matt, and Chloe.
Yeah.
Get them all. Fly Chloe out from Virginia.
Yes.
Bring her over to the UK. Bring her over to Rome. Get the whole gang. Love it.
We're gonna redo it.
But we've got one more question. How does this affect our immediate futures? So more specifically, coming out of uni into a COVID-influenced world with jobs hard to find.
As you said, like,
Well, that's
the next decade, what we've learned personally, and also towards everything else in terms of like the world around us, the politics, the environment thing this year, will stay with us for a good decade.
Yeah, we were discussing this yesterday. I think how long after it's gone will coronavirus continue to impact us? I don't think we'll get back to quote unquote normal for another 10 years. I think one thing I'm looking forward to is the extended social time to be able to wear masks. Because it feels great to have much less social anxiety because you can cover up your face and be like, yeah. No one can know how much I'm scowling at them right now. This is wonderful. But I don't know. There's going to be so much stuff like that. Like coughing will become a very offensive thing to do in public. People will be naturally socially distancing and washing their hands more. And I think it'll stay the same way for another 10 years. I truly do. These are trying times indeed.
Yeah. You know how I was saying we're sort of worried about where the world's going in terms of its politics, at least in the Western world. On the other hand, we're also quite excited because we're living through a great historical moment that they will be discussing in the future.
Yeah, we are living history.
We are primary sources. Never thought I'd say that.
It's a good feeling to think that we're primary sources.
Because we're a bit sick of them now, but it is what it is.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, just trying to think of
anything else we need to cover.
Is there any other questions that were proposed by the people?
We'll do one.
Besides the guy who said about the British Army, we do not need to discuss about that in general.
Oh yeah, we had a few off-topic questions when I asked around. I mean, nah, I think we've got a good. I think we've got a good. Had a good discussion going. Good rant. Ultimately, congratulations, Biden. Good luck, America, but not really. Fuck you, Boris Johnson, and don't just vote because you think they're going to win. Take a look at who you like.
Who you like indeed. If there's
Do you
anything
know-
we have to learn, that's the one quote that will define the future for us. What you like in terms of what you think, what makes you healthy in the inside, what makes you healthy on the outside, what you want to do for voting, what you want to do for the environment, for other people. It's all about do what you like, not do what you least hate.
And it's a suggestion to you too, then. Take a look at the parties that run in your area. Take a personal look.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
When the Yorkshire Party comes to power, I'll be joining them.
No, you won't. You don't live in Yorkshire.
That could have been another point of question. Like, for people who have lived in a certain place for years, but are not originally from there, where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm
See,
technically.
for me, this is a complex question. So for you, I can't imagine.
I was born in Suffolk,
Mhm.
but I lived in Suffolk for the first 2 years of my life. That is it.
Posh cunt.
I lived for a total of 6
So
years
was-
in Germany, and then I lived for the next 10 plus years, in Cambridgeshire, in Peterborough. So, well, I don't necessarily. I'm technically live in Peterborough. I'm not from there. So
Is that why you feel so happy to liberally dish out insults to it?
yeah, I can do it because I've actually lived there. You can only go to
Suffered
other
it.
people. Yeah. So it's the same with a lot of things. Like I've suffered it, so I get to make joke about it. You to see it through the eyes of another. But yeah, I don't know. That was a bit off topic. But yeah, we'll leave that there for now and leave you a few things to talk about. End on another light note. But yeah, so see you next time.
Bye. The whiskey was good.